But at the end of the day, friends need to know that keeping secrets isn't always what's best for their friends. And I think that's one of the most important teaching points is that you need to make sure you understand when helping your friend is more important than just keeping their secret.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Missions That Made Them. I am your host, Jason Verdelli. This isn't just a podcast, but rather it's a movement. It's a movement designed to make the world a better place by bringing more awareness to the great work of the people and organizations making a difference, and more importantly, how you can help. We live in a world today surrounded by a narrative in the media that focuses in on negativity and draws attention to the problems, but not the solutions. Our guests represent the solutions, not the problems. And with that, I am super excited. Well, I'm always super excited, but I'm even more super excited today to announce our guest, Kelly Coulson, with the Society for Prevention on Teen Suicide. And Kelly's going to share an amazing story about what this organization is doing. And what they're actually doing is really saving lives. And it's just the depth of services and everything that they do is just absolutely incredible. So again, every guest we bring on here, it's all about being part of that solution and not the problem. And Kelly and the entire organization here definitely represent that. So without further ado, Kelly, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to get to talk to you and your audience about our mission.
Excellent. So tell everybody what Society for Prevention on Teen Suicide is about.
Sure. So to break it into 4 simple ways, we really focus on spreading awareness, promoting resilience, training professionals, and strengthening communities. So we are not a direct service. We really just focus on that awareness and education component of suicide prevention. So SPTS was founded in 2005 after 2 fathers, both who were friends, experienced loss of their teenage children. They were able to come together to just want to make a difference. So it was them and a bunch of their close friends who said, how can we pull our strengths together and better support our community? So Don Quigley, who's one of our co-founders and now our board president, he always focused on if we could just save one family from enduring the story of what we went through, then everything we would do would be worthwhile. So that was in 2005, and they started with just a simple mission of passing legislation that would ensure that all New Jersey educators would receive training in suicide prevention. So that's where we started. Now look forward to 2022. We've been at it for a while and have a huge amount of work that we do, including different training modules. So it started, again, going back to that New Jersey legislation, we started with an educator training platform, where now we offer that 2-hour training that's mandated in New Jersey for educators to be trained in suicide prevention. So from there, we also have district curriculum and all different programming that's really specialized, focused on that word prevention. So I'm sure we're going to dive into more specifically the different programs, but from an overall perspective, that's really what we focus on, is making sure that we're spreading awareness, saving lives, and reducing the stigma.
Yeah, it seems like everything you're doing there is empowering the person, right? Or the educator, the people that are connected to teens, right? That are out there, that they can see maybe the signs of potential suicide and to be able to recognize that. I think that's huge.
It's all about strengthening communities. The more that we're able to educate all of those that surround a child, the bigger impact that we're going to be able to have on reducing. It's the second, which is amazing. And when I started our organization, I was blown away by not even knowing this as a previous educator. It's the second leading cause of death from the age group of 10 to 24. Which
second leading cause of death for that age group.
Yep. Students, 10 to 24. So the more that we can do, we, as in the education world, but also in the prevention world, there's only so much you can do with just the child alone. But again, being able to educate and have conversations and help parents especially know how to have conversations and just make this not such a thing that has stigma wrapped around it, to be able to, to prevent it and to be able to make it just something that we fix together. Solving problems is a big thing.
Yeah. What kind of programs do you see have the highest impact in what you're doing?
Sure. So we offer a few different programs, but the one of the main ones that has been in our organization since the start is Lifelines. It's a comprehension curriculum for schools to implement in their districts. So it starts for middle school and high school especially, but it starts at the top and trickles down. So we meet with their administrators to talk about policy and, the district policy regarding suicide and what to do and what happens in those procedures. And then we train the teachers and then, directly work with the students. So I think, being a former educator, that approach to it, it's not just working with administrators, not just working with teachers, it's working with that whole community, parent, offering parent nights, education, being able to really surround them in all aspects really has been proven to be really beneficial. And one of the most recent things, and which is where I come from, and you can see our whale up here, is we offer Lead You, which we just went through an acquisition. So in September this past year, I am the co-founder of Lead You with my great friend since I was way little, JD Wilson. We founded Lead You, which is a leadership and empowerment company. So we were acquired by SPTS this past September, but we offer assemblies, workshops, professional development for teachers, but again, surrounded more on those protective factors. Right. So we're able to really hit them as young as preschool, but coming in, we're not using the word suicide prevention, but we're, again, like you had said earlier, we're focusing on that person and how we can, empower them to be the best that they can be, to promote kindness and resilience at the earliest of ages.
So you're doing the assemblies and you're in front of the teens and you're in front of this age group. What's the reaction? What do you see? What changes do you usually see before going in and then after going in, after talking to them? Just curious.
So I think a lot of the time they don't know what to expect. So, and even in the elementary level, they just know they're walking into an assembly, which, even with COVID going on, most of them don't even know what an assembly is. Or even, in the middle school and the high school level, they know that they have a workshop on suicide prevention. But I think what's different about what our organization does is we make it interactive and fully engaging. So no one's coming in and just talking at them. They're involving them in the conversation. JD and both Susan Talone, who's our clinical director, the way that they speak to students, it's never a lecture. We always like to say it's not going in and preaching at them. It's involving them in the conversation and really just choosing those skills that help to problem solve. And to allow them to know that they are able to go seek help and where to go find help and who they can surround themselves with that don't make them feel so alone. Yeah.
What, I guess, and I think that's important, is the engagement side of things. You're not just talking to them, you're getting them to be involved. You're getting them to just be aware and having that you're programming that inside of their head. What changes have you seen? Is there any I don't know if there's studies out there, but when, if you can engage this group of people, not only direct with the teens, but also direct with their advisors and people that they interact with, is there the interaction that the impact that you're making there? Has there been some measurements on that in terms of if they, if a teacher could recognize these signs, it can decrease the amount of suicide by X, or what's the impact of that, do you see?
So I'm not our numbers or data person. I'll be completely honest
Sure.
with
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Talking to our clinical director, Susan, she would be able to answer that question
Sure.
point blankly. But from an education perspective, a little bit of background on me. I was a former educator. I taught first and second grade, the elementary level in Monmouth County, both in Hazlet and in Toms River. So a lot of where my heart goes into this and pours into it is really looking at and knowing the learning styles of children, teens, honestly, even adults. They don't like to hear it, but it's true. You learn the most when you're engaged and having fun. If there's a little playfulness or laughter behind, and these are serious topics we're talking about. I'm not saying that it's, every conversation is meant to be silly or fun. However, it's the approach that you're taking. And that's what, a lot of our presenters and, we, very aligned to you. It's a movement. These are skills that we have to continuously practice. It's not just when Lead U's in the building. It's not just when SBTS is in the building. It's continuous practice of these life skills that are able to really make that impact. And, and they remember those moments. I always say the most important things, and I'm sure you can remember your favorite teacher going back to when you were in elementary school. It's not what they taught you. It's the moments and how they made you feel. And that's really, that heart is what we bring into all of our trainings. Most of us having backgrounds in education on our program side. That's something that you will see that's unique is we bring that, making sure that we're creating moments and experiences through what we do.
Yeah, and I think that's important. If you're just educating them and just talking to them and everything else, I think that's just the level of impact as an educator. That it's not near the same as if they're working together, they're laughing, they're having fun, they're having a conversation. What we're doing here, I'm learning a ton because I get to ask questions. It's very interactive. That's huge.
Yeah, so I'll speak a little bit too, which is one of my personal favorite programs that we have going on right now. And like I said, I was the co-founder of Lead U, so we've done tons of assemblies, workshops. But what's really cool about working now with SBTS is we're able to take what they've already made super successful, and they know the research behind it. And we could take those skills of suicide prevention and weave them into that interactive teaching style. So when we come together, and especially in middle school, that's where we see it the most, because assemblies, when you're talking suicide prevention, assemblies aren't safe. It's too big of a space. There's not enough time to, process afterwards. So we've been really focusing on like that classroom takeover model. We're working with a smaller number of students. We bring in a crew with us. The Lead U crew is amazing. Our program staff on SBTS side is amazing. We come in with, facilitators that are able to really process what's going on. We create that fun and safe space where it may bring up conversations or maybe just even thoughts that they have and reflections, and giving them that time to really think about it. Do I have a friend that has said something to me that maybe I should have said something to someone else? They always say, like, and we focus on friends helping friends. Teenagers, middle school students, they're hard to connect with as adults.
Really?
But they go to each other. We teach trusted adults and, making sure you're forming those relationships with adults. But at the end of the day, friends need to know that keeping secrets isn't always what's best for their friends. And I think that's one of the most important teaching points, is that you need to make sure you understand when helping your friend is more important than just keeping their secret.
Yeah. So the programs are absolutely amazing, what you guys do. And for everybody watching this, go to sptsusa.org. So make sure you check that out. I mean, we'll keep going here, but pull up, you can open it up a new tab. You can still keep in listening to what's going on here. But sptsusa.org. Pull it up. Check it out. I mean, they have so many different things, so many different programs that are offered to it looks like clinicians, direct to the teens, the educators, the parents. I mean, good. I mean, it's you've got it all covered in terms of programs, it seems.
No, absolutely.
So, Kelly, I'm just curious. I want to, for anybody who's listening to here that is maybe they have teens or any teens that are listening to this podcast. What are some of the things that you find in your line of work as sort of things, some of those signs of suicide, that if somebody's listening to this saying, okay, well, give me more, I'm curious, what are some of those things that you end up teaching?
Sure. So we have the FACTS acronym, and I always leave it right here to remind ourselves of the work. But the FACTS stands for really, a change in feelings. So are you paying attention to emotionally what's going on? Actions, changes in behavior. Behaviors tell us so much from the parent perspective, friend perspective, teacher perspective. If there's a significant change in how they're acting in their lives, that's huge. Be mindful of that. C is that those changes. The T is threats, anything, that really drastically happened in their life. And then S is situations that come up. But with that acronym, thinking about it, but it's just knowing the people that you surround yourselves in your life, being open to conversations. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, especially in our trainings. It comes up all the time that a parent isn't necessarily the first person that a child's going to go to when they're having a problem. So it's also training parents and other adults that they might not, they might be a trusted adult for someone else. So the more that they could train and educate themselves from the adult perspective, you're going to be, so beneficial to the lives of a teenager or even a young, a youth that is going through something that's, traumatic in their own life.
Yeah. Yeah, I I like the acronym too. Can you see the acronym one more time just for everybody?
Sure.
It was feelings, actions, threats, and then So
it's feelings, actions, C is changes, threats, and situations.
Situations, you gotcha. Yeah.
And that there's a PDF for it. Again, a lot of our resources, especially for parents, are they're free on our website. There's also free training for educators that they can access as well. Making Educators Partners is that free hours of the 2 hours of training that's mandated in the state, but there's also plenty of other states that maybe it's not mandated, but they can use it towards professional development. For parents, there's, Not My Child, everything that a parent, it just goes through different things that they can look for as parents. And again, for teenagers, connect with us on social media, see what's going on. I think that age group especially, they need to be able to support, each other, but not feel the responsibility of it, but just know who to go for help when it comes to that.
Yeah, and the amount of I'm on your website right now. The amount of resources that you have for each of those key people, the educator, the parent, the clinician.
And just also, and I know digitally it's easy of access, but just to put a little plug, we also have these toolkits. This one's the behavioral health toolkit that you can read more about on our website. That's for parents, and it kind of goes through more to look for. We also have our mental health crisis toolkits, which are administrated in different hospital systems. So if anyone's ever looking for resources for that, you can reach out on our website to either get them in your hospitals, to get them, in the hands of parents of your school buildings. Again, the internet is nice for being able to spread information, but from when you're going through a traumatic thing in your life, sometimes it's easier to have that hard copy of something in front of you as well.
Yeah. Well, and it's also just taking responsibility as a parent, as a clinician, as an educator to seek those resources. And I think first part is awareness. So you have to be aware that these exist. So anybody watching this, make sure you go to sptsusa.org. You are going to save a life by doing it. Probably save lives, but I will bet on that. That I'm going through that. I want to take a look at that. It's good to know because you never know. You might have a friend that has a child that's going through that, or a teen that's going through that, right? And just gaining access to the resources is huge.
Yeah, I'll give you two short stories. So one of the first things that I did when I started working here, we had the NGA convention. I told you I was a teacher. I had never gone. Everyone says you have to go once. Well, I waited till I left teaching to go. But there was so many different people that just came up and stood at our table and said, like, I know this person who experienced that, or like, my friend's daughter went through this. And there was just so many people that had that story to share. And sometimes you don't know who to share it with. but like just our table being there gave them that safe space to come and talk to us. And I think that one way that people can really truly make a difference is just being that non-judgmental listening ear that many people need, because people have stories to share and they need to be able to be in a safe space to share that story. But it touched my heart because I don't think we realize, sometimes living in our own little bubbles, there's so much going on in the world, what so many different people go through, super successful people, they have mental health crises in their own life. Maybe they aren't the first to speak about it, but it happens to so many. And it's just, again, being that non-judgmental source of listening can sometimes really go a long way. So that's my overall speech. But I also have a really cute story that we actually got an email from a parent after one of our Lead You assemblies. And so that's large scale. Going a little small scale, one of the students, he was a first grade student in an assembly, and he went home afterwards, and his brother was having a really hard time. He was kind of like throwing a tantrum, and he taught his little brother our 5-finger breathing technique, which is all over. It's not ours. You take a deep breath in and you take a deep breath out. You take a deep breath in. And it just gives you that second to breathe. But he was able to, after listening to in our assembly, just to go home and help his little toddler brother out. Like, those are the moments that you don't realize how big of an impact you're having, and just by sharing those moments and making your impact on the audiences that we work with.
Small moments change lives.
Absolutely.
That's the way I see that, is in educating yourself and realizing, hey, a little thing you can do make a huge impact in somebody's life. The things you say what you just said there was really huge, though. I think was listening. Mm-hmm. Listening. Become a society of talking. We become a society. I would say a society as in general, but I'm saying there's a lot of people get caught up, myself included, where you find yourself, you're like, okay, I'm talking, but are you really listening and processing the information, or are you just hearing it and then coming up with whatever your assumption was going to be anyway? Right?
That's actually one of we call them structivities, but it's really an activity with a strategy behind it. But it's called Artist Clay Model, and we talk about effective communication. And the Clay's job is, that active listening. So are you really listening to what the person is trying to say, or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? And I think that goes over huge, because how many times can we be in a conversation when the person's not listening to you? Right. They're looking at their cell phone, they're checking their email. And I think it speaks to the youngest of students, but it also speaks to adults too. It's just that kind reminder of, are you taking the time to actually listen to what someone is saying to you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, what are ways so a big proponent, everything I try to focus in on the podcast here is providing the individual, giving the individuals the capability to be able to make that difference, right? To how they can help. So Clearly, we could be on here for hours talking about various subjects and everything, but which I'm going to have you back on for sure. I definitely want to talk about some of the prevention measures. We can get a little bit more specific into the topic, but for the first time through, we'd like to just touch on the organization. What are some ways that people can support you?
Okay, so I have some small thoughts, and I have some big thoughts. So starting with the small scale, interacting with us on social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of those. It's at SPTSUSA or at lead_you_. Just sharing out what we're doing and what we have going on, it means the world to us. Another small way, especially like Facebook donations, we've raised so much through that. Like, again, it's just small people doing small things that it adds up, and it just is able to, help us provide programming to provide support to different communities. Even setting your Amazon Smile charity to SPTS is a huge one. It's like little things in your day that you don't realize how meaningful they are to us. And, talk about small business, and we're a nonprofit. Those things mean so much to us. And I can speak to, to many organizations that don't take that much time out of your day. But large scale, and it's something we talk core values, a proponent of mine is just lead your life by example. One of my favorite speakers and leaders, Ed Milet, he always says we have the same 24 hours in a day. It's 1,000, I'm going to read it off my notes, 1,440 minutes, 86,400 seconds. Choose to be open to learning, choose to have gratitude, choose to be kind, and just choose to be a good human being. The more that we all do that, and the more that we support that, and we show the example to the people that we surround ourselves with, we'll be able to make a difference to reduce the stigma, and to be able to help, our society to change for the better.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. And people have the ability to do that. You have the ability to choose how you live those seconds, right? Live those minutes, those seconds, how you think, and you can choose to be a subject to the message, or you can be the one creating the message. And one of the best ways you said you can create the message is by sharing this video. Subscribe to the channel, The Missions That Made Them, here, so you can, when we bring Kelly back on and we bring for additional stories, making sure that you're exposed to that, and you can share these stories, share the helpful information that what you guys are doing out to the larger community. But again, we can start by sharing, and then you can focus in on donating and getting involved in other ways. But I think what you guys are doing is by supporting your organization, you are saving lives by doing this, by supporting an organization that's providing the resources and providing the awareness and everything else, which is absolutely huge. Your mission is very, very much similar to the missions that made them here, and the fact that, again, we need to build more awareness, but really your organization, what you're doing is providing that platform and providing the specific resources that are doing that. So if you believe in saving lives, then be sure to go to their website, again, sptsusa.org. Get involved. Check out subscribe, liking them on Facebook, following them in all the socials, right, is key, and sharing those out. One post that can be shared out. It only takes one person, like we talked about before the interview here, Kelly. It takes one person that you reach that just happened to be in that moment, in that time, and your post that you shared from that had changed their life. They looked at that and said, maybe I need to review this resource a bit, and that one resource had led to them preventing them from doing the worst thing possible. So that's huge. And I commend you and everybody in your organization for what you're doing. You really are a part of the solution. So
thank you. The gratitude that we have just for you sharing the message, and grateful just for the work that we're able to do. It's immense. Yeah.
It's the first step, though, is building the awareness. So, but Kelly, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. I cannot wait to have you back on. And, I'm going to say the website one more time, just because I'm so passionate about, especially this topic, right? It's a near and dear to my heart. I always said, whatever I do, I always wanted to save a life, right? That was always a thing. And as I mentioned to you a few times, where that was possible by building more awareness. I didn't think, as being in the marketing world, that would ever be a thing. But we all have the ability to do that, though. We all are marketers. We all can communicate. We can spread the better words. We can spread the great word. We can spread the resources that are going to change and save people's lives. And but we do that independently. We do that by the thought that starts here, like you mentioned. You do that by how you view your day and what you want to do with it. You want to sleep better at night? Get involved. Get involved in an organization like this that's helping to save lives. It's providing all, not just individuals, but all the people that are surrounding those individuals to do that. It's no better feeling in the world by getting involved in supporting an organization like that. And that's what's going to change this world and make it a better place, So, any last words here before we hop off?
No, I think we covered a lot today. But just remembering, I just want to go back to like you had said, you have the choice to lead your life in a way that you want to, and I think what we covered today really speaks to the mission that we have is, if whatever work we can do, we will do to just help at least one family at a time. And we're here to support. So reach out to us if you ever need anything.
Yeah. And it's that's the big thing is you as the individual. You, the individual, have the ability, the capability, the time, because you're all busy. That's no excuse. There's no excuse. You're busy doing what? Watching Netflix. You have time for that, but you don't have time for going and supporting an organization such as the Society for Prevention and Teen Suicide. You can change your life by changing your habits. You can change your life by changing your rituals. You can change your life by changing just the media that you're being exposed to. And I think if you take that time and make that dedicated choice to stop watching the media and getting mad at it, which is kind of really what that sparked my concept for this whole podcast, if you realize, if you're watching things that you absolutely can't change, right? You can't change politics. You can change by voting or doing things like that, but you can't change every single person's decision at every single point in day. So you're just going to be an unhappy person if you believe you can make those changes. But what you can do is
choose to meditate, choose to go take a walk,
exactly.
Choose to do stuff that makes you happy.
That's it. You have choose to do things that make the yourself happier, and when you're yourself happier, you can serve other people in a lot of better ways. So I think that's the thing there is. So I think we can make the choice to, and how we make those days. And Kelly, and you and your team and the mission, making that choice to say, hey, if we can save at least one person, we've accomplished our mission. And I think you've served so many people and saved so many lives that it's just absolutely incredible, and it makes me feel good to live in a world knowing that there's people like you and organizations that you're working within that are making this world a better place. And I think that more people need to hear about that. So again, the only way more people are going to hear about it by clicking share on this video, subscribing again to the Missions That Made Them. Be sure to check out sptcausa.org. And I think that's. But by doing that, you yourself are going to have the chance of making this world a better place. So that said, Kelly, you've been awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate your time today.
Yeah. And for everybody else out here, thanks for watching, and tune in next time.